Welcome to Stories of Hope. Each week I bring you stories that will inspire you, educate you, and give you hope. I just love that word. I want to thank my studio sponsor, the Motivated Mind Group, your creative global agency located right here in downtown Chandler. And I also want to acknowledge my business sponsor today, Renco Roofing. Renco Roofing is a family-owned and operated company founded in 2004 on the guiding principles of delivering superior roofing services. They are dedicated to quality and customer service and can help you with residential and commercial roofing needs with a focus on HOA and multi-housing. They specialize in foam, tile, shingle, walk decks, roof repairs, maintenance, and cleaning. Whatever the roof needs to be, they have you covered. Thank you, Renco, for that. Today, my guest, this one's going to be good. Oh, they're all good. My guest is Sherry Herzing. She actually is the founder of an organization called LKG 911 Community Task Force. Yes, you heard that right, 911. After learning that the shortcomings of the 911 system may have cost her husband Bob his life on the day he collapsed and died of a heart attack, Sherry Herzing vowed to make a difference, dedicating herself to protecting others in the rural communities from the risks that contributed to her husband's death. Sherry's the founder of Lake Faston 911 Community Task Force. In January, January of 2019, railing a force of volunteers, love that, and quickly spread potential life-saving information throughout the community. Well, when we think of 911, we think of right here and right now. Please help me welcome my guest today, Sherry Herzing. Hi, Sherry.
Hi, Christine. Thank you so much for having me today.
Yes, I learned of you. Our sponsor is Renco, which is Brandy Reynolds. She works with them, and her mother is an individual, a lady, very well known and very active one in your community, and she said, you've got to talk to my friend here. So I never want to hear that someone has lost a loved one due to negligence or not able to get to someone in time. And that is what happened here. But before we get into how you founded this, I want you to tell me a little bit more about your husband, your late husband.
Oh, Bob was my high school sweetheart, my love of my life. We met, got married. He joined the Navy, and we went off and, started our life together. We have two beautiful children. Now I have four gorgeous grandchildren. And Bob was my best friend. He was the person that I talked to. He was the person that, was everything to me. We were married 43 years, almost 44 years when he died.
Wow.
Very unexpectedly. So it was, we got married right out of high school. Mm-hmm. So when he passed away, it was a whole new time for me to figure out how to do things, what to do, what I was going to do. Mm-hmm. And so it was a difficult time, when I did lose him. So.
And I want to make note real quickly here that we're not here to talk about how 911 isn't able to do anything, because it does take a lot of people to be on that side when especially it comes to the services. So right. I never want to say that we're doing something in a negative way, but there's always something that can be made better out of it, and that is what you have done. So I'm going to go straight into this. Please tell me more about this organization, because it sounds like you just had an anniversary of the beginning of it too.
We sure did, and we just had another big kickoff today because we've grown so tremendously. And something that you said about the 911 system, when Bob died, it was the telecommunicator supervisor who came to her boss and said, enough is enough. We've got to stop. People keep dying. We need help. Mm-hmm. And the amazing thing to me is when I reached out to them to thank them for helping me and for trying to make a difference to make changes so that this won't happen to anybody else. They were floored because they said that very few people come in and say thank you for
Oh,
what you
wow.
do. Yeah,
Wow.
and I was blown away with that because, it's always people saying what went wrong or what they didn't do.
100%.
And, it was just amazing to me. I know we hugged, we cried, we talked. But one of the things that, they said to me was, Sherry, we don't want this to happen to anybody else. Help us, educate yourself. Go out and find where some of the weaknesses are or the hurdles. And this isn't 911's issues, it's the system. And I'll tell you what, every one of our 911 dispatchers, telecommunicators is what they like to be called, they work so hard, and they're still classified in most states as a secretary.
Oh, wow.
Instead of a first responder.
Okay.
And that is one of the things that we're really trying hard to do with legislation, is to get them reclassified as first responders. And all of the 911 system, whether it's volunteer fire departments, if it's police departments, fire departments, or telecommunicators, they're really low on people because people are not coming into the public service, safety anymore. And so it really blew my mind when I started. We have 5 counties around our lake. It's a 36-mile lake, 5 counties in 2 states. Okay. So there are a lot of issues, a lot of border issues, a lot of things that can go wrong when you're talking about 5 different counties trying to come to help somebody in our area. Number one, they need to know where you are, what county you're in. And what we have found is in rural areas, we don't have the broadband. We don't have enough towers. So the telecommunicators don't know where you are when you call on a cell phone. They don't know where you are. So the first line of defense is trying to figure out where you are. And so when you're talking about 5 counties in 2 states, that takes a lot of effort. And to do that, and a lot of time. And sometimes people don't have that time. So working with all 5 counties, every one of these beautiful 911 people opened their doors to me. And it was interesting when I started meeting with commissioners and board of directors on how we can help, how the community can help. It was interesting that they said that most people, when this happens, they just want to sue. They're mad, they want to sue. But that doesn't really help the matter, So I went in there to say, how can we help make a difference? And they just opened their doors to me, and they told me what they needed. They told me what we could do. The day that I decided to do this, my husband, the sheriff of the county that my husband lived in, and he was the one that found out, that it took 47 minutes for them to get to my husband. And he took a cell phone and went all around our county, made 24 cell phone calls. And out of 24 calls, only 4 went to our county.
So I'm going to back up. I'm going to go back here. So you talked about 5 counties. First of all, what state are you in? Because you mentioned 2 states. What state are you in?
Yeah, I'm in Virginia, and the other state is North Carolina that we border with.
Okay.
And so then we have 5 counties that surround our lake, Lake Faston, and 3 in North Carolina and 2 in Virginia.
Well, and a lot of people think, when they think of a rural area, because county, and your lake, I'm assuming it's a rural area, which, like you had mentioned, the technology is not there to have all the towers and what have you. That's not, like you said, it's not 911's thing, but maybe it is, because people are traveling all over the place, and anything can happen anywhere. So is this where you get to be a part of making that a possibility for other people to not have a tragedy like this happen?
Yes, we were very blessed. After we went around and talked to find out what some of the issues were, one of them was we had to start educating the public that cell phones don't work in rural areas, that they're not going to know the location.
Okay.
So people needed to know where they were, whether it was in what county, what state. If you're in the middle of the lake, you don't know where you are.
No.
So that's very hard. No bridges were labeled on the lake to tell you where you were. So that was very, very difficult. The telecommunicator said to me, Sherry, I get a call, there's an accident on the lake, and the caller says I'm by the bridge. There are 10 bridges on Lake Faston, all in different counties and states.
And they're not labeled?
And they were not labeled. They are now.
Okay.
We have them labeled. One of our things that we were able to accomplish. They're labeled now with the street and the county. So if you are on the water and you have an accident, you can look up on the bridge and say, I'm at 903 in Warren County, and boom, you know right where you are. So that's a real blessing. We started out with 32 volunteers. When I met with them and I said, okay, we need to get this information out to the public. We need to start, educating them. The other things that we were told from the first responders, this is in rural areas, they can't find addresses. When it's dark, it's dark. You can't see anything. Most people don't label their ends of their driveways. And even if they do, at dark, they cannot be seen. So the first responder said, Sherry, we need reflective signs at the end of the driveway. So that was our first initiative. We went out and we started doing presentations to any organization that would listen to us around the lake. HOAs, Lions Club, Ladies Club. And we had a beautiful presentation done by these 32 women that came together. And we made packets of all the information that everybody needs to know when they call 911. Not only, and we put these 911 cards in our packets so that people can put them by their phone or by their boat docks, because most people have grandchildren, children, people coming to visit, and they don't know what county you're in. And when you call 911, you have got to know that. The second thing was all 5 counties could not transfer phone calls to each other.
No.
At that time. Yeah. So that's what happened with my husband when he went down. We were in Brunswick County, Virginia. The call went to Warren County, North Carolina, and Warren County could not transfer the phone call. Oh, wow. So they kept telling the person doing CPR, my husband, to call a 10-digit number to get to the right call center. And so, of course, he couldn't do that. He's doing CPR. So it took 21 minutes to get to the correct call center. And then from there, we're in a rural area. And of course, it takes a lot of time for them to get to where you are. So it was 47 minutes total that they had been doing. Our friends had been doing CPR on my husband. Of course, he didn't make it. But in saying all that, what we realized is the task force is that we needed to bring all the 5 counties together to work together, to learn what they could do. We needed to get them to be able to transfer phone calls to each other. We found that in North Carolina, they didn't have Virginia streets on their maps in a couple of the counties. And ultimately they had to come into Virginia to get to some of their neighborhoods. So we were able to get them to update all their maps. In some of the rural counties, and this isn't anything that I'm saying bad about them, but rural counties are small counties. Mm-hmm. They don't have a lot of money in their counties. And what you're going to find all over America is that your GIS person is also the tax collector, or they're, they have 3 or 4 other jobs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to stop you real quickly. You talked about volunteers. You've talked about all the different reflective identifiers for roads and homes and such, and I know that rural areas are volunteer fire departments and such. Like you said, the same person that's working one job is volunteering and doing another one as well. What exactly are the volunteers doing? You said it started at 32 and then you had an event today. So what are the volunteers doing? Are they placing these things out there? Are they collecting down, or what are they actually doing?
Oh, wait till you hear. We
Okay.
have, I mean, it is amazing. I'm so proud of all my volunteers. Because it was 5 counties and 2 states, and every time I talked to different people in the public safety, there was another problem, another problem, another problem. So let me tell you about my organization.
Okay.
We're so excited. We have, first, we have what's called a hospitality and a hospitality group. And what they do is an appreciation, hospitality appreciation. They go out in all 5 counties. We have a group set up. And if it's telecommunicators week, if it's fire prevention week, whatever it is, they come up with these beautiful big baskets filled with all kinds of wonderful things for our first responders. And they deliver them to every single one of the if it's fire prevention week, they go to all the volunteer fire departments and they give these beautiful baskets. They tell them thank you. We ask the community to send thank you to our first responders, to tell them how much we appreciate them. So that was a biggie. Then the second thing was we needed a group to form these presentations and to form the materials that we needed to get out to educate people. So we have a marketing group. And in the marketing group, we have certain people that do events. They go out to the events and they hand out our information. They talk to people. We go to all the businesses surrounding Lake Gaston, and we have a 3-fold brochure that we leave, like at the restaurants, at the businesses, that anybody can pick up. And in there, it tells what they need to know, about cell phones don't work and how to get a hold of a 911 if you need it. All the things that you would need to know that we're trying to get out. So we do that. Our marketing team is also responsible for updating all of our materials and coming up with different ideas how we can get the information out. We have a communications group, and they are in charge of setting up presentations. Going out to churches, to HOAs, to anybody that will listen to us. And they do a beautiful presentation explaining this and educating the public on that. Then we have a group, and it's under our communications, that comes up with things that can help our first responders, tools that could help. We have a what 3 words, and that's a whole nother thing that, but if any of your listeners are listening, please pull up your app, go into the Play Store and look at What 3 Words app. This app defines the whole world into 10-foot squares. And even without Wi-Fi, it's satellite based, you can locate a person instantly. Yes, we have found people in the mountains. We have found people like in the middle of the lake. When we first told our first responders about this app, the first thing they said to me is, "Oh my goodness, we had a guy that broke his leg on one of our trails, and it took us an hour and a half to find him. If we would have had this app, we would have been able to find him." And so this company reached out to me when they heard about what we were doing, and so we get out there and we try to. And we train not only the public, but first responders on how to use this app to help them find where they're going. And one of the biggest things I'm proud of everything, but we have a medical team. And so one of the things that as we were learning what we need to do, a friend of mine called me and said, "You've got to come to this class and check it out." Well, when I did, it's a 2-hour introduction to first aid and CPR. And this group in North Carolina was giving it to school, homeschool kids, to churches and things, teaching somebody how to do CPR and first aid. And they were doing it free. And we thought, wow. So I brought 2 of the nurses on our team. I said, "You got to come with me." Well, we were so excited about this program that we decided to go back and write our own. And when I say we, not me, my medical team, who are fantastic. Mm-hmm. So they put together this program to teach 2 hour CPR and first aid to anybody free of charge. And they will go to them, and we set up meetings. Well, when we were setting it up, my team said, Sherry, how are you going to pay for this? We needed mannequins, we needed AEDs, we needed, all the things that you need to put on this kind of a project. So we submitted our presentation to one of the hospitals around here, and right at first they said, Sherry, just let us do it. Send people to us, And I said, but you're 45 minutes away or an hour away. People are not going to drive to you. We want to get to people in their hometown. We want to get to people in their churches. We want to make sure that they know what to do until help can arrive, because they may be the only ones for 40 minutes. So when they looked at it, so I said, please just look at it and let me know. The next day I got a phone call from the director of the education at the hospital, and she said, Sherry, oh my goodness, you taught us something. And she said, and we're so excited about this, we're going to give you $7,500 to start your project.
Wow.
And it was amazing. So not only are we doing that, but in the group today, one of my biggest initiatives and thoughts when we first started this 3 years ago was a neighbors helping neighbors situation. And that's where, we go into neighborhoods and we teach the neighbors how to help themselves, how to call each other for help, get AEDs, teach them how to use it. And we just didn't have the manpower to do it. And about 3 months ago, I had 2 individuals within a week apart call me and say, Sherry, one was an RN cardiac nurse from Duke Hospital who just retired. And she said, I really think we need AEDs in my neighborhood, and I haven't been successful. And a friend of mine told me to call you. And
so, Sherry,
yes.
With all the money that you are raising, and you've shared a lot of different of the programs and all the outpour of the community that's supporting you, which I think is amazing. And that's what makes it successful, because this is a legacy of your husband, but it's also a legacy of you making a difference for other people that will not have to go through this again. I mean, it may happen again, but not at the extent that you had to deal with it, and maybe other people that didn't have the voice that you have right now and the drive that you do. Now, we already know the area, the different counties. Is there any of this going to go towards maybe providing more towers so that there's even more of a communication of understanding where when 911's called and someone doesn't get that information that you've provided, that they'll still get the assistance that they're going to need when they dial 911? Because a lot of people don't think that they're not going to have anything to worry about once they dial those 3 numbers.
Great question. I think when we first started this, we thought that was the answer. Just get more towers. And then we also found that the towers that we have can be reprogrammed and to be better, more efficient. So when we reached out to the cell companies, they were like, yeah, we can do that, but we're not, because it's not cost effective for them. There's not enough people in rural areas to make it cost effective for them. Okay. So then the next thing we said, well, we've got to get towers. Well, if you've ever tried to get companies to bring towers into areas, it's tough.
Not an easy task. Okay.
Not an easy task. But a wonderful blessing is, since we started this, we got 1 tower put up in Brunswick County. And it's working. And then I guess it was probably about 4 months ago, I got a call from Mecklenburg County and said, Sherry, we want to put a tower up in this area where there really was no signal and all that. And they said, will you help us make it happen? Nice. So I did, myself and my team. I mean, we made all kinds of phone calls to public officials, to everybody that we could think of that would be the decision makers in this. And it was surprising to me that a lot of the public officials didn't realize how important towers were in broadband to the 911 system.
So with that being said, that being said, because I know that I have one final question to ask you, and then we could go on and on about this, definitely. Right. And one of my questions that goes with, like you said, the towers and knowing whether something is labeled what the bridge's name is or the location. Are there any call boxes anywhere that are connected? This is just me asking because I don't live in a rural area. Are there call boxes that could be actually placed or are placed that would maybe help with this 911?
No, there isn't. The good thing is now is that we have all 5 counties working together to try to solve some of these problems.
Good.
Yes, and we're bringing in, towers. We did get the tower approved, so we have another tower coming in. And then we're educating the people on what they need to do to help until we can, I want to say, fix or get the other issues taken care of, which a lot of them are legislative issues. And
Always.
we'll be going there too. Yeah.
So then my other question before my final question is this, because you talked about all these different programs, and I just asked a couple of questions in regards to the boxes and locations. And you're talking about 5 counties, and you're going, I'm assuming, door to door to provide, whether it's in a business or a residence, this information, these pamphlets that you've shared in this interview. Are there any workshops rather that you're actually conducting in each of the counties that you can have people come together at a community center or somewhere where they have that choice to come in versus you going door to door and trying to remember where to go or who to find?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Like the Lions Club, and we set up things there where people comes to us. The wonderful thing is we have all the chambers surrounding the lake supporting us, getting our information out. When we set something up, they advertise it. All the newspapers surround Lake Faston. We do a 2-month of PSA in there about things that people need to know. Mm-hmm. The stories keep going out. We have a media person, and the other thing I just need to get a big shout out to before we finish is Rallywood Media Group. It's a media group, of course, in Raleigh, North Carolina. But when they heard about what we were doing, they reached out to me and they offered to do pro bono, setting up our website, helping with social media, getting things out. And they have just been tremendous. Good. The radio stations here do the same thing. We go on the radio stations, we talk. So we have got so much support with all 5 counties in both states. That's just phenomenal now. So, it's like one of the things that we say, when we need it and we ask for it, they come, and they really do.
Yeah, and that's what the word community comes together. It's not just the people within your community, it's anyone that's outside of it too that anyone knows. And 911 is that number that people think that once you call it, you're going to be found and they're going to be able to help you walk through whatever. It's that net that I know. I did a class last year, the year before. It was a civilians police academy. And so I got to be, as part of the chapters that we had to do, was be in one of those 911 settings. And I don't know how they do it. They have different situations and scenarios, and they have a time frame. Like you said, there's not enough people there, but that's a very stressful job because they're taking on someone else's life they don't know. And the last thing that they want to feel is that they failed. And I'm sure, as you've already shared with your husband passing away and others that have had things happen, that's not something anyone wants to feel, but it does happen. And so their training and you working with them is very helpful too. It's all about communicating and educating, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, we're going to be getting into schools to do that as well and trying to get more kids into the public safety. Okay. So we're working on that. But the biggest thing right now is in every state, reclassification of our telecommunicators. Wonderful. They are our first responders, and we need to give them the help and get the legislation passed for them.
That I agree with you. So throughout this entire interview, your information has been provided. So anyone that wants to reach out to you, that information has been provided. It will be provided again at the end. And then also, so now I have my final question. I mean, I've had a bunch of questions, but this is like the final question where I say this to every one of my guests because this is really how I feel. I can ask a lot of questions, but if I was only given one question to try and understand or get to know someone by just this one question, it would be this. Based on your journey of life, what message would you like to leave?
I think that with every tragedy or every hardship that someone goes through, there is beauty and wonderful on the other side. And we can go into it with negativity and anger and bitterness, but the only person that is hurting is us. Mm-hmm. And so if we can take the bad things that happen in our lives and turn it into something positive and good, not only are you helping others, but you're helping yourself as well. And I think that, I would have been miserable if I would have said, took it on the negative way. And now I'm so blessed with the people that surround me and help me. And I'm blessed to know that change is being made and people do care.
Thank you, Sherry. Yes, thank you, Sherry, for being the voice that no one really thought there probably was one, and the action that's going behind that based on, unfortunately, a tragedy that happened to you. But I think that sometimes is what comes about, is finding something that will make a difference so that someone else doesn't go through that suffering or that pain, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you for being my guest today, sharing your nonprofit. And again, your information has been provided this whole time. So thank you. And I'm sure it'll be successful. It's already started with all the events that you're doing. So I'll have to do a follow-up with you.
That would be wonderful. And we would love to take this program into all the rural counties all over the United States. That would be something that would be wonderful. Yeah. So, we're here to help anybody that may be going through this somewhere else. Please tell them to reach out to me and I'll help them in any way I can.
Absolutely. Again, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes.
And thank you for what you do.
I love what I do because it keeps me grounded and grateful, definitely grateful. I want to thank my studio sponsor, the Motivated Mind Group, your global creative agency located right here in downtown Chandler. And I want to say thank you to my business partner today for today's episode. That is Renco Roofing. Renco Roofing is a family-owned and operated company founded in 2004 on the guiding principles of delivering superior roofing services. They're dedicated to quality and customer service and can help you with residential and commercial roofing needs with a focus on HOA and multi-housing. If you have a story you want to share, know someone who has a story, please email me to the address of stories@christinehotchkiss.com. And if you also would like to be a sponsor, please email me to the address of stories@christinehotchkiss.com. Until next time, everyone, I wish you well, and you take care.